Our next story is a renovation project being undertaken at St Macartan's Cathedral in Monaghan. It is undergoing a major facelift. Our reporter Valerie Waters went along to find out more.
Named after a man who was a contemporary of St Patrick's, St Macartan's Gothic-style cathedral in Monaghan town was built in 1892. Despite very hard times in Ireland in the 1800s, the building was financed by annual collections in every parish in Monaghan year after year, and it took 31 years to complete. The architect was a Dublin man named James McCarthy, and the bishop in charge here when the building started was Charles McNally, seen in sculpture form on the left, holding a maquette of the incomplete cathedral. He was succeeded in 1865 by Bishop James Donnelly, who was from nearby Scottstown. He saw the completion of the cathedral in 1892. Enda Galligan is a parishioner and local historian.
For the last 133 years, St Macartan's Cathedral has stood high on Lathlorcan Hill. One of the significant things about Monaghan town, it's surrounded by 7 hills, and the cathedral is on one of those 7 hills. Just like Rome, the 7 hills of Rome, we have the 7 hills of Monaghan.
Well, my name's Father Leo Creelman. I'm administrator here in Monaghan and Rackwallace Parish. A few years ago we did a survey on the building just to check, because we'd noticed that there were some things that needed to be looked at. And that survey showed up some things that were potentially dangerous. So we got our architect to do that survey, and we noticed even some of the stone was crumbling. Some things could potentially fall down, so we knew something had to be done. So we just got it in time, and we were able then to embark on the current restoration that we are in now.
For the past 6 years, Derry-based architect Carl Peterson has been working on the restoration of St Macartan's. It's his 3rd cathedral project. His company, Malarkey Peterson, is conservation accredited Grade 1.
So on the drawings here you can see we've got a large scale elevation of the building, a roof plan, and then a zoned in detailed drawing of a particular section. So these are important to give us an idea when we're talking about people and we're quantifying things, what we're working with. And you can see on the elevation, it's the whole side of the building, and it's gridded out both vertically and horizontally, so we can zone in any particular area. So if we take in this section on the south transept, here's a larger scale drawing. And when we go to this larger scale drawing, every single stone that is on the building is drawn here. And then that gives us an opportunity then to decide what we're going to do with each stone. So as you say, every square centimetre of the surface of the building has to be considered.
A delivery of sandstone has arrived from McMonagle's in Mount Charles, County Donegal.
It's a Mount Charles sandstone, so it's a quartzitic stone. It's a very hard, durable material. The architect chose it because of the similarities to the building that the building was built initially with. The stone is replaced exactly as it would have been back in the day when it was initially built. The colour matches perfectly, and the finish, we can mimic the exact style of stonework that was done back in the day. We're very delighted to be involved in such a unique team here. We've worked on them on a few projects now together, both with the architects, the design team, the main contractor and the restoration contractor here involved, plus our own team. We couldn't do this without a very skilled team that we have, and a very dedicated team to a high level of quality to do projects of such significance. So Paul, the restoration mason here on site, is a very highly skilled individual as well, and he's able to entrust putting these pieces back to where they belong, and with a very, very delicate hand.
My name is Paul Clark. I'm a small company, Clark Restoration. I'm primarily a principal stonemason on this project for McGuigan Builders, and it's for the restoration of St Macartan's Cathedral. Primarily my teams consist of, there'll be skilled labourers, but there'll be a lot of skilled stonemasons, trained stonemasons, also, primarily led by Jonathan Miller, who will be our lead stonemason. Jonathan learned his trade. Jonathan's worked with me since he was 16. I've known him a long time, and he's worked through a lot of projects with me over the years. And he's a time-served skilled stonemason. And what he was using there was the use of the nail-on mallet and chisel, and mallet-headed chisels. These tools were used from ancient times. You also seen on the banker, you'd seen an old wooden mallet, which was basically a beech mallet, which was used by my father, which was in around 70 odd years old. But I've been a stonemason now 45 years. And I learned the stone trade from my father, who was a stonemason from 1953 when he first learned it. That was his mallet, was on the banker. Being a stonemason with him wasn't easy because he was a very hard taskmaster. He didn't let you away with much, and he wanted you to learn because he knew you needed to learn everything right. When I was a child, my family is from out in the Rusley area, and I was always told, even from a child, we lived in an elevated site in Rusley, and even then, way back in the late 60s and 70s, you could hear the bells of St Macartan's, and I knew of St Macartan's since I was very young, but it's an honour to be involved in the restoration. Part of the team is restoring St Macartan's.
We as main contractor, along with various subcontractors, have completed the restoration work of the bell tower and south transept to St Macartan's Cathedral, Phase 3. We would have had that scaffolding up 45 lifts, so that scaffolding would have been up to approximately 90 metres in total at one stage. So there would have been huge logistical planning involved in that there as a contractor, and I'm sure that every party is working together in unison. I'm from Clontibret, approximately 10 minutes out the road here. I would have drove by this building daily going to school. So it's an iconic building to walk on. It's never too often you get to walk on a prestigious building like this here, and it's something we are very, very proud of.
I'm always humbled when I work in buildings like this. Back then, people didn't have what we have today, you know. They had shortages of food, shortages of employment, all sorts of issues. They didn't have the technology that we have today to be able to communicate. They didn't have the tools to be able to manufacture stone, but yet they were able to produce something like this. And I think when you reflect on that, that's the importance of stone, the permanence that stone brings to our lives and the permanence that stone buildings bring to our lives. And it's particularly fitting for something like a cathedral, which is at the centre of a community. Buildings like this teach us that stonemasonry is part of our being. When this building was originally built, I can imagine the stonemasons here. You've seen Paul Clark and his men with the hand tools hammering away. And I think back, and I would like to think that we're doing what people were doing 120 years ago, maybe doing it in a slightly different way. We're interrupted by a phone all the time, or iPads. Back then, I'm sure they were interrupted by something else. But it's the same spirit. And that's an important aspect about understanding buildings and understanding stonework, that you have to get into the material of the building. You have to get into the blood of the building and feel it inside you. So when you're using stone the way that stone is meant to be used. And when you're carving it the way that stone wants to be carved. You're working with the grain of the stone. You're understanding the patterning in the stone, and you're understanding how one stone will sit next to another.
There will be 7 phases of restoration in all. Phase 4 has just started. The final duration of the project is all subject to funding.
I'm amazed in every project. The significant amount of money that is involved to do a project, particularly a project like a cathedral, and I'm amazed where the money comes from different places. Primarily, we've got the congregation here in the parish and the diocese, which is putting money in. We're very grateful for the government's Historic Structure Fund, who've been very generous to us over the last number of years when we've made applications to them. We're very, very grateful for that. But it's significant sums of money that are involved. If the money was sitting there in a lovely gold pot and we could just keep on going, we would be here probably for another 6 years, I would say, before we would complete everything.
People here love this building, and this is a building where really it brings out, it's in fact it's a diocesan building as well, so it actually pulls in people from all over our diocese, Monaghan, Fermanagh and beyond. This building is different from any other building in this town, even in this county, and it offers a place for somewhere to come, for people to come here. It's something different. It's not like your normal home, your normal hall. The stonework here is so beautiful. The whole building is so beautiful. And actually this building stands as a testament to the faith and the spirit of this local community for hundreds of years.
Great to see the ongoing work of restoration there at St Macartan's in Monaghan. That ends our programme. Tá súna go bhainteamh Tanya Astronona ó Hulagan Nationwide Slán Aggie.